Hey, yo, everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week. So this is a pretty big week of the month for comics, and you're going to find that this has a kind of theme going for it for this week. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. In addition to that, I want to address a topic at the end of the video of how maybe I can change up my videos themselves and make them a little bit more interactive or something along that lines. But we'll deal with that after we do the reviews. And we might as well start where we always start, with a little bit of Batman in our life. With Batman issue number 17, the conclusion to the Death of the Family story. Without giving too much away, shit gets real. Shit just got real. Actually, shit's been real for a while. It's Joker and Batman's big confrontation between each other, and everything is on the line, particularly the Bat family. And again, I don't want to give much away. I don't want to give away what happens. All I can say is that there is some mind games between Batman and Joker, both of them pulling out some pretty dirty tricks, and of course, a cataclysmic, maybe cataclysmic isn't the right word, but a tear in the family. There will be some kind of bad taste left in the mouth, whether someone dies, whether someone kills someone, or whether or not, let's just say, the family's changed forever. Whatever the case may be, there is a bad taste left in the mouth for the Batman family. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Well, by the way, as always, I get every single cover, even the digital download cover, which I just give the code to my friend. One of the deals of him reading so many comics a month is that I give him the code, and I like to get people in comics. Um, Good. You know what I like about Scott Snyder's writing is that it's not about the big shocker at the end or the huge climactic moment or the big reveal. It's about the story. In an interview in comicvine.com, Scott Snyder said that this story is basically about being a father or being a parent. And once you're a parent or a spouse or you have loved ones or a family, is that you put a piece of your heart out there, and no matter what you can do, you can never get that piece back. It's there and it's always open for targeting. And it's really is a story about that, is that no matter how strong Batman is, no matter how smart he has all these people, which are his family, his sons, his daughters or daughter-in-laws, kind of, if you want, or well, you see, I would consider Grayson, Todd, Drake, and Damien the sons. Barbara would be more of a niece, and then you have, of course, the father figure in Alfred, but they're out there. They can be striked at any time. The dynamic between Joker and Batman in this is beautiful. Just how they interact and how they feel towards each other. And I will spoil a little thing. I do like how um, Scott Snyder plays on Joker knowing Batman's identity. Is how I always thought of Joker knowing Batman's identity is basically this. If Batman's in front of Joker, he'll be like, Batman! And then he takes off the mask, he'll be like, where did Batman go? And put the mask back on and be like, Batman, you just disappeared. There was someone here, and I don't know who they were. Something along that lines, which I think is a great methodology to have when it comes down to the Joker. And I'm sitting on something. Earphones. In addition to that, there's some really nice scenes in this. Um, to point out a few, there's a scene where Batman hugs Robin, or when the family are all together in their biggest crisis, trying to hang on together. Simple things like even like people connecting in ways that you wouldn't even notice, like Jason Todd and Barbara holding hands to like get through this moment. It's really quite moving. Bad zilch. Scott Snyder has been rocking the Batman universe, and this is another example of how he rocks the Batman universe. Death of the Family has been a great story, fantastically told, and well done, and I enjoy it. 5 out of 5. Moving on to Batman and Robin issue number 17. I almost said 16. This is, for lack of a better term, a filler issue. And I don't usually like filler issues, but after the big cataclysmic death in the family, I'm using that word a lot. Cataclysmic. Sounds so sensual. Cataclysmic. After the big cataclysmic event of Death of the Families, it's actually almost good to have this to be rearranged in the pieces. I guess in radio, what they do is when they do an interview with someone, every once in a while, they'll say again who they're doing the interview with someone, who they're doing the interview with, and it's called resetting the table so that people that just turn on the radio will know what's going on. This is kind of resetting the table for comics. And although Death of the Family is briefly touched upon here and how it kind of affects Alfred, Robin, and Batman, this is kind of resituating where the Dark Knight and the dynamic duo stand with each other. Uh, what I like about this is that Batman and Robin really should be called Batman, Robin, and Alfred because it's those three and it's so well handled. A good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. Some of the imagery in this is really nicely done. I particularly like just the small moments. I think that's what makes this comic is the small moments of um, Damian and Bruce and Alfred interacting with each other and how their feelings towards each other are shown in this. Bad. This is kind of a filler issue. It's not necessary. I do recommend it. It was enjoyable, and I think Peter Tomasi really puts on an emphasis of father and son here, whether it's between Damien and Bruce or Bruce and Alfred, and it's very well handled. So I was originally when I was going through my mind going to give this a 3 out of 5. I'll bump it up to a 4 out of 5. This was a fun issue. It's not necessary, so if you do miss it, it's okay. And moving on to the last Batman title this week, Batgirl issue number 17. So basically, her brother strikes. Batgirl, unlike the other, well, we don't know really, but Batgirl really hasn't had time to sleep. She really hasn't had time to recover from Death of the Family. She's already on the road going after her brother. She's running on pure willpower, caffeine, and Red Bull, as she said. And basically, she's trying to round up all the people that were involved in the death of the family, Joker's underlings, and her brother gets involved in it. And it's really kind of just a setup between the two of them because you do know that there's going to be more between both of them. And a certain supervillain gets involved. Someone new, I think. I think it's I'll give you his name because it's not like a huge reveal. He goes by the name Firebug, so I don't know if that's like a Firefly wannabe, but yeah, it leaves off on an interesting cliffhanger. I want to see how Batgirl gets out of this. A good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Fox jumps on as the writer. Simone's going to be coming back. We do know that. Um, Fox has a pretty good voice for Batgirl, and I do like the internal dialogue for Batgirl in this. The meeting between Barbara Gordon's mother and her brother in the hospital was tense to say the least, but enjoyable. And I think there's a good handle on James Gordon Jr. here. And I kind of like Firebug. I think he's kind of a cheesy but cool kind of villain for Batgirl to fight. Bad. I wouldn't say there's much bad in this, other than the fact there isn't much interaction between Barbara and James Gordon Jr. And I would really like to feel more tension between the two of them. One thing I do want to say is good is I like this sense of tiredness that comes with Barbara in this, that she's running on very little. She's barely even had time to breathe since the Joker's attack, and she's already out trying to do what needs to be done. Um, on a whole, this was a good issue this week. 4 out of 5 also. Moving on to a little Marvel, and I've decided what I'm going to do for Marvel. I will be picking up the following titles indefinitely. Captain America, Fantastic Four, Wolverine when it does come out. Those three are the ones that I'm definitely going to pick up. I might give the new Avengers comic a chance. I don't know. I'm still kind of teetering on it. The problem with Marvel is this that I have is that they're releasing too many comics bi-weekly, and as much as it's cool to get your stories bi-weekly, it can hurt your wallet a little. So I might be jumping on some other Marvel titles. I've read a lot of the Marvel now, especially at the store, and those are the ones that I've enjoyed the most. Stuff like I really didn't Uncanny Avenger was it Uncanny Avengers really didn't grab me. All New X-Men is fun, but it is not I'm not too engaged in it, if it makes sense. I didn't really care for the Deadpool comic. I'm not as attached as other people on the X Force, Cable and the X Force. I know there's a huge following on X Force, but those are the comics that have struck me, and they're the comics I stick with. And sadly, the Thor comic just didn't hold me. I might pick up the third and fourth issue just to see if I can get back into it, but we'll see. But Fantastic Four issue number four. So the cover kind of says it all. They basically go to this world, and Sue Storm is revered as a queen, yada yada yada. The interesting thing that's going on in this is this really the main story is Reed Richards writing a note, I think in his head, to Sue Storm, and he's talking about the past and how he met her and how he fell in love with her interest instantly, and how he hates keeping this secret from her, and eventually it's going to come out and it's going to hurt them, but he doesn't want to hurt her directly. He wants her to be happy and not have to worry about him, and it kind of goes through this whole analysis of um, their relationship through the perspective of Reed Richards. And at the very end of it, Reed does something for Sue, not only because he loves her, but because he wants there always to be a remembrance of their love for each other. Because in this, I think truly Reed thinks he's going to die. And I really do like that tension that's going on. Um, and it's really that's the story. What's going on this alien planet really doesn't much matter. Although it's nice, fun, adventurous stuff. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. I think the perception of Reed's relationship with Sue in this is beautifully handled. Reed is kind of a guy that has his head up in the air half the time. He's too immersed in his work, but it at the same time, he is a human and he does have these feelings towards other people, especially love for his family. And we get to see that here. And it's good to see that side of Reed, even in the cold, calculating way that he gives it. I really like the fact that he's keeping the secret from his wife and that eventually he's going to have to tell her. And he comes to that conclusion eventually. Uh, and it's nice to see the relationship between them and their children. I really did like what Reed did for his wife because I think Reed has trouble expressing his feelings for Sue sometimes. And again, this is coming from someone that's read not as much Fantastic Four as some other people, but from what I see, Reed is kind of that guy that, he wants to say I love you. He just struggles a bit with the actual I love you. He doesn't know how to deliver it, for lack of a better term. But when he does it in such unique, fantastic ways. No pun intended. Bad, zilch. Fantastic Four, I think, has been, for pound, my favorite of the Marvel Now series, which is good because Fantastic Four is my favorite Marvel team. This is very much a Reed Sue issue. I almost said Flash. Uh, Human Torch and Thing aren't really shown too much in this. They do, but not as in depth. There's really a lot of good stuff in here. 5 out of 5. Fantastic Four was fantastic this week. Oh, FF is another series I'm going to be continuing to pick up. Not because it's tied to Fantastic Four, but because of She-Hulk. Because She-Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel superheroes. She's high up there. I've really grown to like She-Hulk in the past few months. So moving on to Deathstroke issue number 17. So basically, it's Deathstroke versus 1,000 ninjas. Um, a contract is put on Deathstroke from this ninja clan, which I forget the ninja clan. It's some general ninja clan. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother looking through, but basically he's attacked by this ninja clan, and Deathstroke comes to the conclusion that the reason why someone hired this clan to attack Deathstroke is not to kill Deathstroke, but to have Deathstroke in reaction kill this ninja clan, which is actually kind of funny. And Deathstroke has to do what he needs to do to get out of this situation. And Deathstroke does it the way Deathstroke does best, by killing. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. I think Justin Jordan is the first person in a long time to have a good voice for Deathstroke. I think everyone can agree that the best voice has been Marv Wolfman and George Perez, because they initially in Inception created the character, but since then I don't think anyone has really had a good voice for Deathstroke. Now I'm in the minority in this. I really didn't care about Jeff Johns' voice for Deathstroke. He made him too much of a villain. Deathstroke is not a hero. He's not a villain. He's there. Does bad stuff, but he has kind of a decent heart on him. And it's really hard to find that balance. He has a weird sense of honor. If you look at it this way, you can have someone go to one extreme and make him too much of a hero, like he was portrayed in Panic in the Sky when he was given command of Earth's forces by Superman against Brainiac. Or you can go to the extreme and make him a huge villain, like in the mid 2000s with Teen Titans and Identity Crisis. I think there needs to be good balance. I think Justin Jordan has a great voice for Deathstroke. One of the better writers to have that voice for Deathstroke. The action scenes are great in this, and the art is beautiful, well paced. And what I like about Deathstroke is it's like a Friends with Benefits. Is that there's no huge connection to the story that you have to worry about. You do not need to be overly invested in what's going on to enjoy what's going on, which it can be good at some times. And the reason why I say it's like Friends with Benefits is that, and Friends with Benefits never works out. I'm sure about it, but there's always going to be complications. But the general idea is that you get what you want without needing the constraints that come with it. If you do not want that emotional connection, or you don't want to have the after effects of having that relationship with someone, you can just have those benefits with them. And it's kind of like with Deathstroke. It's like I don't need to get invested in the story, but I'm enjoying what's happening in the story. It's not like it's Deathstroke's big epic story about how he's falling apart as an individual. No, it's Deathstroke versus ninjas. In saying that, this is a really fantastic issue. Justin Jordan has really done a good job with Deathstroke. Thank you, Justin Jordan, because you have given me three of the best Deathstroke issues I've read so far, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a damn fucking shame that this comic's getting canceled. 5 out of 5. If you're not reading this, you're missing out on just some plain fun comic book action. Moving on to Ravagers, another comic that is unfortunately getting canceled, especially after an issue like this. Basically, the Ravagers show up in this town that have people blowing up. It continues from where the last issue left off. In that Rosen Warblade has gone to this town because people are blowing up, because when a person blows up, then other people get infected and they blow up, and it's like a chain reaction. So Rosen Warblade, for reasons that I'm not going to reveal, are trying to stop this from happening. The Ravagers help them out. And basically, yeah, it's Ravagers helping Ravagers. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. I really love Warblade and Rose in this. They stand out. I realize it. I understand it now. Last issue, although it may have not been as in depth and intriguing as the previous issues, it really helps set up these characters and make them a little bit more fleshed out and make them a little bit more enjoyable. I really did like Warblade a lot. He impressed me in this, and I hope to see him more in the DCU after Ravagers is done. The Ravager characters are nice in this, and I do like the sheriff of this town and his story that is told. The pacing is very well handled, and the art is good too. Bad, I don't think there was too much bad other than the fact that this is still Rose and Warblade's story, and I don't feel as though the Ravagers were handled well, but I don't think they were as invested in this as the real Ravagers were, Rose and Warblade. Whether or not you should get it, absolutely. Again, damn shame this comic is ending because it's such a good comic. 4.5 out of 5. Really good stuff. Moving on to Suicide Squad, issue number 17. So basically, the Suicide Squad has to go with the Yo-Yo, who is this guy right here, to deal with his sister, which is called Red Orchid. Uh, and Red Orchid and Yo-Yo both got their powers during the Brainiac attack, and I'm not going to explain how. You can just read it. And they're basically going through all these different levels of this building to get to them, killing people along the way. Plain, flat, and simple. That's really what Suicide Squad is. It's really that's the Suicide Squad killing people. However, there's a shocker at the end, a return of sorts for a character in this comic. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good is I like Yo-Yo in this. I think he should be a continuous cast member. I think there's a lot to the character. His power sets is good. I mean, stretching ability like Mr. Fantastic or Plastic Man. It's actually a superpower that's very underutilized. That could be fun. Um, so I do like Yo-Yo in this. I think he's a cool cat. The dialogue I think was very good in this. Harley Quinn was particularly fun. Um, and the shocker at the end was good. Bad, I didn't really get invested at all on Red Orchid, the character, the villain. She doesn't really show up much in this, but I really don't care for her as a person. Maybe she'll impress me next week or next month. But until then, she's kind of blah. But on a whole, 4.5 out of 5. This was a great issue too. Adam Glass, he's jumping off the book, which is I forget who's jumping on. So I'm not going to comment if it's good thing or bad thing if they're jumping on. But it's a shame that he is leaving the book because I've had fun with him a lot. Moving on to Demonites issue number 17. So, X, Shining Knight, Sarah the Horsewoman, all are going to go save Jason Blood because they need Etrigan in order to fight Kane. If you haven't been reading the series, you're probably confused on what's going on. Kane, the first vampire, is on the loose, and he's going to attack Themyscira, the home place of Exodus, or Exodus. I always pronounce her name wrong. I just call it X. So, anyways, they need Etrigan because really they need some extra power to take on the legendary vampire Kane. And they need to get Jason Blood back from Vandal Savage. And that's the basic gist of the story. Good, bad, whether or not you get it. There's some really fun and great moments in this. Particularly, I like how Lucifer says this stuff. A pity that Jason has no use for you, neither part hell nor welcome on earth. One might describe you as stranded in limbo, alone for eternity. It's what humans say. Oops. I know I probably just butchered that, but I think Lucifer was pretty funny in this. Uh, never relinquish your ambitions, Etrigan. It always drives to such spectacular failures. I do like the character of Lucifer. I love Vandal Savage in this comic. I always give Vandal Savage Aquaman's voice from Brave and the Bold, like the outrageous, splendid kind of voice, the over the top one. Um, I really did like him in this, and I really do like how Sarah the Horsewoman is being used a lot more, and the character is getting more fleshed out because I think she was the weakest character development wise earlier on in the first few arcs, but she's really growing now, and I like that because she's a great character. Bad, none. 5 out of 5. You're starting to see the theme. This is a great week for comics. Demonites, it continues to thrive and survive, and I'm glad about that. I'm glad I haven't seen it on the cancellation at all because it's been such a great story. Moving on to Threshold presents The Hunted. So basically, the espionage Green Lantern, I forget his name, Coolest something, or uh, Jedi Cool. Alien names. I can never pronounce them. He's basically still on the run. This Threshold game, not this Threshold game, the Hunted game, where you're hunted on this planet. He's involved. Stealth is involved, and Blue Beetle is involved, and they are basically all colliding towards each other. Who will survive? Might surprise you. Yeah, that's the basic gist. The good, the bad, the whether or not you should get it. Good. The cast of characters are enjoyable cast. I really could see myself sitting down and just reading stories about these characters. They're fun. They have personality. I mean, it's Keith Giffen's writing them, so of course they have personality, but they definitely do have personality and they interact well with each other. The art in this is splendid. I do enjoy the art, and I think it's a good handle on alien and how aliens look from slug people to normal humanoid looking aliens. The action is pretty good in this. There's some tense moments in here, there. But yeah, there's some good action in this. Bad, the dialogue was a bit long, and the comic felt a little bit long. Usually I like more comic, more bang for my buck, but it feels as though the story just drags on for a little too long. The backup story is very good. I think that's really the highlight of it. LaFreeze's stuff is really the nice stuff from this. On a whole, whether or not you should get it, I'm going to keep this at a 3. I don't know if I'm going to continue Threshold. I want to because I enjoy the characters. I think the story has promise, but I don't think it's fully delivering what I want. Um, what I think is this is Threshold is fun for me because it's so disattached from the DC universe while still being the DC universe that it's just something that I don't have to I can just enjoy for what it is being is. But I think Keith Giffen just needs to ease up on the dialogue a bit because there's a lot here, and if I read too much, I get tired. It's not because I'm bored; it's just I get tired when I read too much, and it can be hefty on me. So slim down the dialogue, but I'll keep it at 3. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 3. I'm not. I mean, seriously, this arc is just bothering me because it has so much potential for such a great arc, but they do nothing with Illyria in this really, other than making her a target, and she's like a freaking pushover in this. Oh, actually no. This is 2 this is 2 out of 5. I did not enjoy this at all. And I know a lot of effort was probably put into it, but I just didn't enjoy it because one is Illyria is getting thrown around and pushed around like a nobody. Two is there's really no sense of tension here, except for towards the end, maybe. The only thing that possibly was fun in this was the Dawn stuff. But that's about it. Oh, God. I just didn't like it. How can Angel and Faith be fantastic consistently, and this continues to disappoint me? As a Buffy fan, I am upset because Buffy is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's just I felt as though the comics lost its way. I felt as though the universe has lost its way. It saddens me. It saddens me. Moving on to Katana issue number 1. So, for those of you that don't know Katana, allow me to explain because Katana is one of my favorite lesser known characters in comic books. And basically, Katana is most well associated with the Outsiders. The Outsiders is like a Justice League Black Ops team that Batman created because of his frustration with the Justice League back in the Silver Age. And Katana is a samurai, for lack of a better term. Her family was killed in a fire. Oh no, not killed in a fire, but they were murdered, and their souls were put into the demon blade. Particularly her husband, who talks to her through this demon blade, and she wants vengeance, revenge, all that kind of stuff. Katana was definitely a character that I grabbed onto because I thought she had so much potential, and she's such an interesting, cool kind of cat. And she's a samurai. But she's always been relegated to the outsiders and never really given too much exposure. However, in the New 52, it's been very good to Katana because she was on the Birds of Prey for, oh God, up to issue 15 or 16, and consistently on the comic. And you're like, oh, well, it's a nice, safe place to put Katana. And then she's going to the Justice League of America as one of their founding members and getting her own individual comic. This pleases me a lot because I am a Katana fan. I'm like, hey, shit, let's give it a try. Let's give Katana a bit of a push because who knows, it might work out. The one thing that I am worried about, though, uh, in Anne Nicoletti, I always pronounce her name wrong, is on the comic on this, and she has been kind of hit and miss for me. She's done Green Arrow, she's done Catwoman, um, and like I said, hit and miss. Sometimes her dialogue is good, sometimes her pacing is good, sometimes they're not. So let's see if it works out here. Basically, Katana is on the lookout for one of her, the murderer of her husband, Coil. Coil is a samurai who has a blade that literally can coil around like a snake. It moves like a snake. And she is searching for him in Japantown. I believe it's called Japantown. A yeah. So that's basically the gist of the issue. She's looking for Coil and she wants to take him down. But that's not all that's in this issue. We get to see a lot of who Katana is, how she thinks, how she acts, her feelings towards her husband. And what I particularly like is in previous stuff before the New 52, the Blade always talked back to her. And this, she's only talking to the Blade, so you don't know if the Blade, if he's really his soul is in there or not. But yes, that's the gist of the story. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. I feel as though the dialogue was good in this. I really did like the dialogue. I think Anne has a good voice for Katana. I felt as though the character we get to see this strong female character who at the same time can be vulnerable too. She almost feels lost, for lack of a better term. Like she's so driven by revenge, she's kind of lost touch with who she is, and it's really quite heart wrenching in a bit. Kind of like how she sleeps and in a dream she has a nightmare, and in the nightmare she makes love with the murderer of her husband. Sounds really weird, but afterwards she wakes up and she professes her sadness and her want for forgiveness to her sword, who she believes her husband's soul is in. And again, in the previous continuity was. We don't know right now if it is. She's saying, "You're the only one that my bed is made for. You're the only one that I open my heart to," and you feel bad for this character. The action scenes are really good in this, particularly how she dresses herself up in a disguise, but then she uses that disguise as a weapon. As illogical as it is still kind of fun. Using earrings as shurikens is really great. The art in this, although starts off a little rough at first, uh, really grows on me to the point that I think it's beautiful looking art, and I think it's definitely what this comic needs for it to stand out. Bad. I can't. There is no bad about this. One would say it has no connection to the Justice League of America, but it doesn't need to. Batman has no connection to the Justice League. Why should it matter? This is her comic, her story. Um, and I'm pleased to say that in a thank you goes to Anne Nicolette that she did good with this. 5 out of 5. I am pleasantly surprised that Katana was this good because I was worried. I thought she was not gonna hold out that well, but this issue gives me hope. 5 out of 5, and I think I see good things for Katana in the future. Superboy issue number 17, where we have this and one more issue to go. Superboy issue number 17, Hell on Earth, part I don't know anymore at all. Um, Basically, we get to see a little bit more of that Herald of the Oracle in here, the one from Superman issue number 1. And we get to see how this comic really separates all the characters. Supergirl fights Superboy for a bit in this and beats the living fuck out of him. But that's good because it allows Superboy to kind of flesh himself out as a character, because I've heard people complain that every issue starts off with "My name is Superboy. I am a clone created by the organization Nowhere, designed to be a weapon." Um, but in I think it's great because it kind of sets it up. You're like, oh, he keeps on saying that he's a weapon, he's unsure where he is. But in this comic, he comes to the point where he says, you know what? The world is at risk. I'm not going to stand down. Not to you, Supergirl, not to Hell, not to anyone else. You can kill me if you want. You're gonna have to kill me because I'm not gonna stop. And you get some tense moments between him and Supergirl in that, because Supergirl's punching the living shit out of him and crying while doing it because she does not like what she's turned into. She feels as though she's saving Krypton, but at the same time, she's pretty much murdering this boy. And again, Superboy is standing there saying, I'm dying, but I'm not going to stand down. I'm going to save the world. And it kind of veers off, and everyone goes in their own direction. But boy, some powerful fucking moments for Superboy in this. Uh, really, I'm looking right now to the fight between Supergirl and Superboy, and it's really quite brutal. Uh, we might as well go into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good is I felt as though there was great moments in this, tense moments, great character development for Superboy, him becoming kind of a hero, kind of stepping up to the plate. Uh, I also do like the tension that goes on with Supergirl. How she's literally she knows what she's doing wrong, but she wants um, Krypton back so badly that she's willing to go to an extreme to make it happen. And you get to see that in this very much so. Um, Good art. I like how Superboy gets his normal costume back. He's no longer in the Superman costume. Superman gets his costume back. And I think it's a good way to write off Superman and Flash and Cyborg in this. They do write them off. It comes down to Superboy, Wonder Woman, and Superman. So there you go. Uh, Bad. I can't say there was any bad about this. Maybe the end gets a little too trippy with the black holes opening up, and I'm just turning the pages just to remind myself because I read this when I was a bit tired. But besides that, I think this is a great comic in that it pushes Superboy's character. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. I did enjoy it. I think it did a lot for Superboy's character and Supergirl's character. Um, and it's continuing the fun that is Hell on Earth. Hmm. Someone got marker on one of my comics. It's the back though, so it doesn't matter. And the final issue this week is going to be Anime Con Girls featuring Supergirl. How I got hooked onto this comic, I don't know because I don't collect the Anime Con Girl figures. Uh, and basically, this is Supergirl's story and her fight with Brainiac. And we get backstory on Krypton, how it was destroyed, and it was destroyed by someone that you may not actually believe would have done it, but actually a good guy destroys Krypton. Um, and yes, Supergirl goes up against Brainiac, but Brainiac has a trick up her sleeve. What is that trick? Well, if you collect the Anime Con Girl figures, you probably could tell by the variants of Supergirl. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. The art, I think, is for this comic the best here than it's been in all the comics. Why? Because it actually looks like anime. And that's important, people. This is Anime Con Girls. These are um, based off figures that are based off anime interpretations of comic book characters. It's nice and good that we have some stellar artists like Amanda Conner on the comic and stuff like that. But if it doesn't fit the persona of the comic, what does it matter? You can have Jim Lee on a fucking Swamp Thing comic. Will it work out? I mean, it'll look beautiful, but I mean, does it fit the tone of the comic? I think this is good because it has that. And Wolverine almost fell there. Yeah, I got a Wolverine figure too. Um, I think it works out well because this comic it has that anime flavor to it. It feels like ready. You ready for this? Anime. So I do like that. Um, I felt as though Supergirl has a pretty good voice for her, especially the fact that she's just come out of her space pod, so she's kind of new to this world and she's already got that sense of justice and need to go out and do what needs to be right kind of thing. Um, Bad is that, oh, and another good is I like who shows up at the end. I think that was pretty cool. Bad, um, it feels very status quo. Like everything fits into place too well for the story. Like it progresses too perfectly. Nothing shocks me. There is no big twist at the end. Someone returns, which is nice, but there's nothing to. This is where I think the story was going to go. Nothing surprised me. Besides that, it was a good issue. I'll keep it at a 3.5 out of 5. Um, just because I think they could have done a little bit more with Supergirl as a character, just a little bit more. But besides that, yeah, that is my comic load for this week. A lot of 5 out of 5s because there was a lot of good stuff this week, which is always good for me, for you, for the readers. Uh, the clear winner is going to be Batman this week. Best issue this week, bar none. Um, I was just wondering, would you guys like at the end of these videos that I do question and answers? Not a lot of question and answers, but like do a select amount each time and then sit down and just do like, I don't know, 5 questions and answers or maybe 10 question and answers each video so that, you guys can pull them in and that at the end of the video there's something a little interactive between the two of us, you guys and me. Let me know what you guys think. Would you rather like question answers to be in a separate video? Or would you rather have it be connected onto my main video so that this again something interactive each week? 2, big news. Jeff Johns is leaving Green Lantern. What do I think about this? Well, you're just going to have to wait because I am going to do a what I am thinking Jeff Johns jumping off Green Lantern. The good, the bad, and is it the right move? So I do have that planned. Unfortunately, I did forget Red Sonja this week. I think it's in my box. I must have just missed it. But yeah, I'm sure Red Sonja was amazing because it's Red Sonja. It's always good. Anything else in terms of stuff going on? I finally beat Paper Mario Sticker Star. So Sticker Star is complete. Really fun game. Really enjoyable. Bit easy, but that was fine. It was one of the more enjoyable Paper Mario experiences I had. I'm an oddball when it comes down to the Paper Mario series, though, so I like games more so than some other. Like, I love Super Paper Mario. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it's completely different gameplay-wise than all the other Paper Marios, but I liked it. But I instead got Fire Emblem Awakening, my first Fire Emblem game. What? Andrew? Yeah, there's a few video game series I've never touched. Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, and Fire Emblem. Um, And with Fire Emblem, this is my first one, and uh, it's good. Oh, it's good. This is a great game. I really enjoyed it. I've only played maybe 4 hours so far of it, but those 4 hours have been fantastically great 4 hours of gaming. So, really enjoyed Awakening. So far, it's something I do recommend people pick up. And the great thing about this, and I guess all the Fire Emblem series, is you do not need to know anything about Fire Emblem, the previous stories at all, to get into this and to enjoy it. I know nothing about Fire Emblem outside of Super Smash Bros. Roy, Marth, Ike, they're Lord classes. Yeah, but what? I actually watched a retrospect of Fire Emblem to kind of get a gist of it. But yeah, really enjoyable. I do recommend people pick it up because this has been a good game so far, and I've only played a little bit of it, and I do enjoy it. So there we go. In terms of game news, I am eagerly awaiting some new announcements. Apparently, the PS4 is going to be announced. We'll see how that works out. And some new Wii games need to be announced, Wii U games, because Wii U had a great start, but nothing has happened. I don't think I played Wii U in a month. And I love the system, but no real new games have come out. And I could buy like Tank or Scribblenauts Unlimited, and I do kind of, but I also have to save money, so I need to keep it towards the games I really, really want. But yeah, I'm looking forward to E3 this year and really what's going to be coming out of it. It's going to be a very interesting E3, especially with the mix up the fact that Wii U is out and the possibility of the next gen consoles come out. The 720, Xbox 720, if it's going to be called that, and the PS4. I mean, what could come out of E3 this year? I'm more interested in the games. I'm always more about the games than the systems. The systems are great, but I mean, for example, Wii U can be as freaking revolutionary as all hell. But if it doesn't deliver on games, then what does it matter? Same can go for PlayStation and Xbox. That's one of the reasons why the Wii is maybe pound for pound my favorite video game system. May, Maybe it may have not been as amazing as the GameCube or the Super Nintendo, and it doesn't quite have the development that the Wii U has. We had some fantastic games, some of my favorite games, from my favorite game of all time, Skyward Sword, to some of the best Mario games with Mario Galaxy games, to games like No More Heroes, to games like uh, um, Trauma Center, which such a great series. Such a great series. Miramasa Demon Blade. I can go on and on, but the games make the system. For me, that's what the thing is. So yeah, that's about all I have to say this week. It's been kind of a long week for me. Last night I worked like 13 hours. I know, crazy. Um, I'm not gonna get into how that happened, but I worked 13 hours yesterday, and I was like passing out by like 9 o'clock. It was brutal. During D&D, I was like this. You guys are fighting goblins now. Uh, Flat-footed. I was. It was brutal. So yeah. Anything else going on? Yeah, nothing really. So let me know what you guys think about the question and answers. Doing it at the end of the videos. I'm interested. Okay. I'm gonna end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.